I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Geno TV and Channel 99. Back with us today is Sheila Lucy, the Harbor Master. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
I thought it'd be good to get together now that the sort of summer is on the downside of the slope. To talk about a couple of things. One, the harbor, the state of the harbor, how it survived the summer as best you can tell, and also the lifeguards because of all the events of they should be talked about anyway, but the events of last week sort of bring them to the fore. Anyway, let's talk about the harbor first. How has this harbor survived this summer, as best you can tell?
We've been doing really well. We did get a surprise visit from the New York Yacht Club. They came unannounced with 99 boats with no forewarning to the boat basin or myself or Nantucket Moorings. 33 of them were able to find a place to tie up. So that left
at
six.
A mooring or a berth?
At a mooring or a slip in the boat basin, right. And so that left 66 that were looking to anchor, which made it extremely difficult for us. We were out there like 12 hours a day trying to keep them out of Hussey Shoal and past First Bend and all of our scallop areas. We ended up having to send out a notice to mariners closing the harbor to vessels at anchor because we were at max capacity. So we sent a lot of them to anchor out in the Court of the Bay. We had nobody anchored in Hussey Shoal. We had two drag their anchor across Hussey Shoal, unfortunately, but we got them out of there as fast as we possibly could. But again, it just took a ton of manpower and stuff to just keep it protected.
That was a windy weekend, wasn't it?
It was very windy. They came in on a Monday and Tuesday, and we had a little bit of a storm on Monday night, and the wind shifted direction on them and everything else. But it took a lot. But we managed to keep it done.
How long? They were here 2 nights?
They were here 2 nights. We had a few boats that were really difficult to work with. Just no cooperation, no understanding, and but we got it done. So.
But the race week went well. Everything.
Race week went well. The Rainbow Parade is always interesting. This year the current was really strong. They were doing it at max tide, so. But we got it done. The Coast Guard and we started escorting the ferries in and out, which I think helped. And then we put the spectator boats over to the green side of the channel, so that kept it clear. But it's a challenge every year. There's so many boats in such a confined area. But they all got slips this year in moorings. There was very few boats on anchor. And so the anchorage was very dealable when they were here for race week.
Let's talk about your favorite subject, gray water.
Okay.
I know you've heard more about that than you probably care to remember, but have there been any problems this summer with gray water that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. And we're working on it as hard as we can. I just went off to New Bedford to a meeting the other day in case they had some ideas of, things that we could be doing better. But, they're saying that we're doing everything that we possibly can do to make sure that it's good. The pump out boat's been out there 8 hours a day. We stop, we talk to everybody about it, and we say, even if, you're partially full, why don't you just let us pump us? We're right here right now. Christina has had everybody plugged right in over at the boat basin, and we're doing the best we can. And to my knowledge, we haven't had any reports of any discharge of gray water. And like I said, our boats have been on the water a lot more this summer than they usually are, specifically looking for that.
But there are, you're there 9 to 5 or whatever.
Well, no, we've been doing night patrols as well, and we've been, the pump out boat's been running until 6 o'clock at night. We're extending hours, we're extending all kinds of everything that we possibly can.
You say the boats have been out, your patrols have been out at night. What does that entail?
We go out, we check, we're just looking for things that are happening. A lot of times we find dinghies with no lights on them. We find that a lot of the big boats are coming in with no life jackets. So we do a lot of enforcement with that because
they're coming in with no life jacket?
Yeah, in the dinghy. And they keep saying, well, my big boat's got the life jackets on it, but the dinghy's far more likely to capsize.
And there are people in the dinghy.
And there are people in the dinghy than the big boat that's sitting there empty.
Right.
So we do a lot of enforcement as far as that goes. There's a lot of things that go on at night out there. So we've been pretty busy in being active, working with the Coast Guard and just making sure that everybody's being safe more than anything. They're required to carry a light, and they're required to carry a life jacket for everybody on board. And so at times we provide them with life jackets, or we provide them with lights the first time, and then the second time we start writing tickets. Doing a little bit more than education there.
All right. Well, so the summer's gone relatively smoothly, except for a bunch of unannounced visitors.
Yes.
Let's talk about the lifeguards.
Yeah.
Give us some background on the lifeguards. They've got a special, an unusual certification. It's a very, it's a good program.
Right.
It's a strong program. But let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's an outstanding program. It's something we started working for in 2012. We started working towards a certification from the United States Life Saving Association. So we actually got accredited by them last year in 2016. And it just takes so much to get their certification. We have to have oxygen on the beaches. They have to be first responder trained up to the first responder level. We do longer beach weeks, training weeks with them, and our training is much more rigorous than it was in the past. They're drug tested. We just make sure they're drug and alcohol free. It's really good, and this group that we have is amazing. They have had a very difficult year, but they've stepped up to the plate every time. Brianna Viterini is our lifeguard. She's a full-time lifeguard that works with us. She's amazing. She's been a lifeguard here.
Year-round?
She's year-round, so we have a year-round lifeguard on staff, and you don't come any better than Brianna Viterini. The training she provides, she's been a lifeguard on Nantucket since she was 16 years old, so about 10 years she's been with the program, and she's just an incredible instructor and an amazing lifeguard.
Let's talk about last week. Last week was a tough week for the lifeguards.
Yeah, last week was
Was
very
it the toughest week, or there have been tougher weeks this summer?
No, last week was the toughest week I can say that we've had in years. It was like the perfect storm. August 16th was like the perfect storm for lifeguards. It was a beautiful beach day. It was clear skies, no wind, very little wind. But we had hurricane swell. We had Hurricane Gert that passed by. So we had 10
How far offshore was it?
I don't know how close it came. I looked it
It
up
was
yesterday.
a ways.
Couldn't find
It was a ways.
It was a ways, but it gave us 10 to 12 foot
Swell.
shore break,
Yeah.
which was extremely dangerous. By noontime on the 16th, we were flying double reds everywhere. The lifeguards were
Double reds means
double red flags, which means the waters are closed. We don't want you to go in. It's not safe for anybody to go in. So all the South Shore beaches had
double reds.
double reds. But they ended up going in 27 times. They saved so many lives. It was just amazing. We unfortunately lost one at Nobadir Beach, but the efforts throughout the entire day were nothing short of heroic.
That accident occurred just before noon, as I recall?
Yes.
Were most of those rescues in the morning, or did they go through the day?
Well, Nobadir was flying double red by 10:30. But they, by noontime, they had been in 6 times at Cisco. And Nobadir, when that incident occurred, they had been in 3 times on 3 separate rescues. And then
Are these? There is a sort of a designated area with lines going out into the water, which is the guarded area, right?
Right. Well, there's 2 flags
Yeah.
that mark our guarded zones, and these accidents were taking place outside of the guarded zones. But the lifeguards are responding anyways,
Right.
because if somebody's in trouble, we went. We responded several times to unguarded beaches. We were in Tom Nevers. They were in Ladies Beach. They were a Fisherman's Beach. just up and down the
How do
South
they get
Shore.
that mobility? To,
We have ATVs, and the CSOs, we work hand in hand with the CSOs. I can't say enough about those guys either.
the community service officers. Yeah.
They stood right by our stands, and as soon as a call would come in, they'd throw a couple lifeguards on the back and go as fast as they could down the beach to get there. Because in those situations, it's a matter of moments. But they also did a lot of preventative lifeguarding. They were like, please don't go in the water, and this is why. If they saw somebody approaching the water, they explained to them what could possibly happen. And again,
But people do it anyway, right?
people do it anyways. Well, like I said, it was it was a beautiful beach day. And I think people underestimate the power of the sea. And the rip currents were so strong, and that 10 to 12 foot shore break was just, it was, I can't even describe it. And I'm just so proud of their actions that day. Every one of them stepped up to the plate. Every one of them put the safety of others before themselves. And they went in, and their work was phenomenal. I can't even describe it. I've gotten so many emails from people that watched them and were just amazed.
And some of these are high school students.
Yep.
Some of them are college students, and I guess there's some who are older, but not many
much.
really. Not many. Yeah.
We had high school kids. We had a 16-year-old first-year lifeguard going in 10 to 12 foot seas, going to save lives. So that's what they choose to do, and they do it very,
How many
very
of
well.
them are local? How many do you have altogether?
We have 45. We're down now,
yeah, I was
obviously,
gonna-
because
I'll
the kids
come
are
to
going
that. I'll
back
come
to
to that in a
school.
minute,
But
yeah.
we have, I would say, probably 16 to 18 locals. We started a junior lifeguard program, which is working out great for us. We have 5 kids that have got out of the junior lifeguard program that are on staff. We have, like I said, probably 16 that are local, and then we have a lot of kids that have grandparents that have summer homes here,
Which helps. with
which helps a
housing,
lot
yeah.
because they've been coming here their whole lives every summer, anyways.
And
So,
they know the beaches, and they know
exactly,
the challenges.
exactly.
Do they come back year after year?
We have this year out of 43 or 45, we had 33 returners. So, I mean, I think they're proud of the
that's
program.
amazing.
They're proud of what they've done with it, and they should be because it's a great program.
To be a lifeguard, obviously you have to be a good swimmer. You have to be physically fit, but you don't have to be a huge person, right? You don't
No.
have to be
No,
Charles Atlas.
not at all. Not at all. And we have, like you said, 16 and 17-year-old girls that, can't weigh 100 pounds soaking wet, but they're 2 of our strongest lifeguards. And then we have guys that are just ripped, but they're, so we go from one end to the other, but they're all, I think with a lot of them, it's heart and it's determination and it's compassion and their true desire to help others.
Well, it's a great program, and
Thank
you and everybody else who's been involved in it are to be commended, and they are to be commended for their service. It's unfortunate that they have to leave when they do, because I actually noticed on the newspaper's website this morning that there are only 4 beaches now with coverage.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. It's just difficult. We're trying. We can't find anybody that just wants a job till Labor Day.
Right.
So, except for college kids and school teachers. We try to hire school teachers too, but they have to go back to school as well.
That's right.
So it's very difficult to find people. Luckily, we do get kids that have just graduated from college and their parents give them one more year, but if they have to go get a real job. Well, not that lifeguarding is not a real job, but they have to get a year-round job.
Right.
So we're able to hang on to them till Labor Day, and that's pretty much what we're using right now. And then our local high school kids. Fortunately, we don't start school till after Labor Day, so they're able to stay with us.
And they do generally?
They do, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Back to the harbor for a minute.
Okay.
The water quality, the scallops, all that. I know you're not directly involved in that anymore, but everybody who works with the harbor is involved
Exactly.
to some extent. And what's your sense of what's going on in the harbor from a water quality? And do you have any?
I don't know. Like I know that we try the best we can to make sure that everything that we have control over, we do to make sure that we have the best water quality for our scallops, our eelgrass, and everything else. Because water quality, it affects everybody, whether you're a scalloper or you're not a scalloper, and everybody wants to have outstanding water quality. And that's what, you know, the boat basin, everybody that's involved in the harbor. You know, the tourism, you know, nobody would come here if our water was disgusting. You know?
No, but I mean, somebody told me the other day that a friend of his, you know, somebody I know very well, told me that a friend of his owns a pier. And there aren't many of those around in the harbor.
Right.
And I don't know who it is, but I do know he owns a pier. And when he first bought the house 10 years ago or whenever it is, he could see the bottom from his pier.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see that anymore. And could be a lot of reasons.
Right.
But it's, you know, that's the kind of thing that sort of upsets people.
Agreed. But I can tell you this, at the town pier you can see the bottom really well, and that's where there's a lot of boats. I think it depends on the season. I think it depends on the day. I think a lot of that stuff, I know that people are saying that we're having algae blooms and stuff going on right now. I think we get affected a lot too by things that aren't in our control. Like they say that the rain,
Right.
you know, a lot of rain does affect it. But as far as what we can control, we're just going to continue to try to control it the best we can.
Last question. The jetties have been rebuilt.
Yes.
What, first of all, has that changed your job? Has it made it easier or more difficult? Are people running more or less, fewer times up against the jetties?
Yeah, we've had a lot less people run aground this summer. That's been great. The current is a lot stronger.
That was my next question.
The current is a lot stronger. You can definitely feel it. We also have a lot of people walking out on the West Jetty because it looks much more inviting. And that's just not safe. It's just absolutely not, because there's a completely slippery and there's slime and stuff all over them.
And rocks.
And they get all the way out to the end. The first guy that we found was out there with very little clothes on playing the xylophone when we pulled up to him. So that was kind of an interesting one.
You had to bring him back in?
I just followed him down. I just said, you know, you got to head back, but we stayed alongside in case he was to fall. I had Brianna with me, a lifeguard, just in case, you know, we had to do first aid or whatever. But yeah, it's super dangerous. So that's the only bad thing about it. Other than that, I think the rebuild has been a great thing for us in the harbor.
Good. Sheila Lucy, Harbor Master, thank you so much.
Thank you.